What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Mike. You're tuned into Square Root Comics. Today I present to you a new mini-series known as The Depth of Knowledge. In this particular episode, in this part of the Depth of Knowledge series, we're going to focus on a comic called The Incredible Hulk number 340. And we're going to drill down and go deep and try to fully understand the significance of this comic. Please enjoy this content. Let's get into this video. As a disclaimer, this content is not financial advice. However, in this video, we will use mathematical reasoning to analyze data, draw conclusions, and possibly even make predictions. Some basic facts, okay? The comic is called The Incredible Hulk number 340. It was published in February of 1988. And why is this comic book significant? Well, I would say it's because of the iconic cover art, which was done by Todd McFarlane. There were two versions or two iterations. You have your standard or direct edition, which had like a Spider-Man icon in the bottom left corner in the white box. Then you have what's called the newsstand edition, which has more of a barcode in the bottom left corner in that white box, okay? And the newsstand is said to, I believe, be more valuable. It's more scarce. In terms of a population report, you can see there's quite a bit of grades out there, right? Almost 12K, 11.7K copies on the census, okay? That's quite a bit. Almost 10,000 blue labels, 9.4. Okay, then you have another 2.2 yellow labels, signatures, whether it's signed by Todd McFarlane, maybe Stan Lee on some of those signatures, who knows? It's almost 20% of the pop report are signed books. There's 3 9.9s out there. It's fair to say most of the copies are over an 8.5. Okay, check out the graph. We can see, right around this mark, around the 9.6, right? That's where the most of the copies are at, 2K. 9.4 and 9.6. So if you want to invest in this book, again, I'm not giving advice, but to differentiate yourself from the pack, you might want to get the 9.8. That would be considered in the top 10% of all blue labels, top 14% of all yellow labels. So that's something you can think about for yourself. All right. So, the newsstand edition is an interesting case. If we try to find a pop report for the newsstand edition itself, you notice it comes up 0. Right? No census discovered. So we currently don't have the ability to know exactly, how many graded newsstand copies really exist. There are some estimates out there, but this is something else you may want to consider when, if you're thinking about maybe purchasing this book or just knowing the landscape of this book. You should realize there's a subset of covers, right? A subset of comic books, the newsstands. We don't know the exact number, okay? But it's significantly less than the direct by most estimates. In terms of volume of sales, okay, we can see, according to the graphic on the left, right, direct edition, about 4,000 sold with 400 plus copies available. Newsstand edition, about 200 sold, only one copy available at the time, when that graphic was snapped from that website. Currently, again, when this graphic was snapped, there were 91 listings available for this book graded. So you can definitely find this book out there. There's 90 copies on sale right now, give or take. This is very interesting to look at. This is called the volume of sales. And you can see this book moves like literally almost every day. it kind of gives us that impression, right? Look at the volume of sales. Copies sold per month, okay? So it's averaging. We can see seems to be averaging all the way from 2006 to 2023. It hasn't had a month off. It's averaging at least 14 sales a month. It's like every other day a copy sells. In some months it's much more than that. Okay, look in 2019, there's a huge spike right over there. So the book consistently sells. So we got the 9.8. Check out the current statistics. We've got the last sale at 1,500 of March of 2023. So to get this book in 2023, you could see the high. It's going for 1,600. The low 1,400. It's going to average out to around 1,500. Okay, to get this book graded in the 9.8. There's about 11 copies out there. The newsstand edition. Now we can, for whatever reason, we have the ability to track certain newsstand sales. And look, it's not that many. Okay, this book sometimes moves only a few times a year in a 9.8. And look at the price. It's consistently been over $3,000 for the last several years, even over $4,000, reaching $4,000 at some point. So it just shows you that newsstand edition is much more scarce to find in the 9.8. So hence, the value is going to be much higher. And the number of sales is much lower. There just aren't as many copies out there. Probably there's less people that can afford copies of a 9.8. And the people that have them probably don't really want to sell them. They're probably keeping them in their personal collections. Now check this out. If you have a 9.8 signed by Todd, that's a quick $2,000 right there, right? And that book sells a few times a year. If you're lucky, it's going to cost you around $2,000 in a 9.8. Now, if you want to drop down to the 9.0, you can get, which is still, obviously a very nice condition. And you can get the book for a fraction of a price for under $200 currently, $175. This year in 2023, no one has paid over $200 for a 9.0. Someone got it for $108. I mean, that's, again, this is not financial advice, but for $108 to own this book in a slab and a 9.0, that's pretty nice. Especially, imagine if it is a newsstand, right? Speaking of that newsstand, in a 9.0, we can see $230, $210, $168. Okay? So for under $250, you could have a newsstand copy of this in a 9. So that's pretty cool. If we want to start making our own trend lines, it's very interesting. Okay? The red line shows, if we go back to this point in time over here, right? 2008. We have a very steady growth. So before even the comic boom hit, the red line proves that, this book was rising in price. All right? If you want to look at it in a different way, right? If we connect these three spikes, you see there's a spike here around 2014, 2015. There's a spike here maybe around 2018. And then the next spike before it really booms, right? We have maybe 2019, 2020, early 2020. So a different way to look at it, you can, if we can, connect those spikes, we show that, the book had some natural growth before the comic book boom. Okay? So you can't blame the price of the book on the comic book boom itself. This point right here seems to be that inflection point. This is where things start to change. From here to here, there's this massive exponential growth. This was the boom, right? From, late 2019, early 2020, estimated to about, tough to say the exact date. We're just estimating maybe 2021, 2022, somewhere whereabouts. Okay, it hits at this peak point. Very sharp growth, right? Looking at that growth. Boom. Skyrockets. And then it did crash. But not to where it was in 2019 or 2018 or 2017. It's found this new level, right? That's what we see over the last year and a half. It's come back down since this epic high, but we see that it's sort of leveling out at a new place. And for the 9.0, you see almost identical patterns, right? It was naturally growing. It did go up in a boom. It's coming back down. Now, this might be coming back down to the point that it was naturally going to be at anyway. You can envision where this line could keep going, right? So, some conclusions. What can we say? We've looked at some analytics. We've looked at some numbers. Our final thoughts. Number one, for around $175 or up to $1,500, you can get a pretty nice book. Okay, depending on how nice you really want it. There's less than 1,000 blue labels of 9.8s and even less 9.8 newsstands. So that's an interesting statistic right there. If you want to be in the 9.8 club, it's not cheap, but you can get in. And we've seen a consistently high level of sales volume month after month for over a decade. So this is not just like a one-hit wonder or a weekly top 10. We have a decade of evidence, empirical data that we can analyze. That's got to count for something. And all signs are showing us that the newsstands are significantly more rare, or you might say more scarce, than the direct versions. Furthermore, issue 340 has given birth to over 80 comic book homage covers. I actually believe it's over 100. We're going to prove that in an upcoming video. This book is considered vintage Todd McFarlane, right? This is way before Spawn. This was before Image Comics was born. So we have to consider that. This book is approaching its 40th anniversary, right? We came out in 1988. 2028, that's going to be 40 years. So think about that. So there it is, guys. This is the first video in the series. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to look at some of those homage covers. If you like this video, if you appreciate this type of video, and analyzing data, let me know in the comments. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel so you can keep enjoying more content. I appreciate you all for watching. Have a great day. Peace.